Welcome back to the Actary Magic Channel. It is my pleasure to be your host. I'm Steve the Actary. Alright, today we're talking about Hinata Dawn Crown. But before we get into that, I want to let you know we do have some combos at the end of the video that I wanted to share with you. So stay tuned for that. But also, we are sponsored by MTG on Command today. They are putting out some really cool deck boxes with these lovely little magnets to hold them in place, and they're doing a lot of cool innovation. These are 3D printed and they are constantly in production. Really cool. I like my Svela. Ooh, come on. Svela. Anyway, so let's get into it. Oh, 10% discount in the description. They've got Valentine's Day versions, and they've also got Kamigawa stuff coming out too. They've got a purple that's beautiful. All right, let's get into it. So Hinata, super cool. I thought I could do this while listening to music, but I cannot. Hinata Dawn Crown is a 4-drop, 4/4 flying hidden spirit. All right, so we're in America colors, Jeskai colors today, and spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost one more to cast for each target. Really interesting is that not only are your spells getting reduced, but your opponent's spells are getting increased. So cards like Path to Exile are now costing 2 mana. It's a lot harder to keep up an extra 2 for Path to Exile rather than just 1. And so Hinata makes it really, really hard for your opponents to have that, what do you call it, spot removal on curve. But let's keep going. So must includes, okay? I'm going to kind of go fast with these, okay? Must includes, got to get Lightning Greaves, got to get Swiftfoot Boots into the build. Absolutely auto includes. And if you've got them or you can afford them, these are the luxury items. Fierce Guardianship, Deflecting Swat, and Flawless Maneuver. They will all protect your commander. Super good cards. Interesting to note, Deflecting Swat, weird combo. Weird. I mean, you could reduce the casting cost of Deflecting Swat with your commander, but it already reduces it to 0, so whatever. Okay, anyway. So let's talk about all of these cool cards we can play with it. So, if you're playing Aurelia's Fury, okay, basically every creature that you're targeting is going to reduce its casting cost by 1. So you can basically shoot every creature your opponents control for 1 point of damage for a red and a white. Okay? And they become tapped. Okay? Now, this also can target players, which means that those players can now no longer cast non-creature spells. Aurelia's Fury is pretty bananas, so you can shut off people being able to combo off. Say on your turn, what you can do is you play Aurelia's Fury. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Aurelia's Fury, targeting everyone else, all the opponents and all their creatures. So you tap all their stuff down, you make it to where they can't cast non-creature spells, counter spells, and you just finish the game with Aurelia's Fury. So good. Icy Blast, again, it taps X creatures. We pay 1 blue, tap every creature that we don't control, and then if we have a creature with power 4 or greater, those creatures don't untap during their controller's untap step, which is great because Hinata's a 4/4. Ferocious is on. It's on. Anyway, so let's talk about exiling. Technically not exiling with phasing, but anyway. So there's a new card out of Neon Dynasty that's a blue and an X, and it says there's an additional cost to cast this spell. You may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Up to X target creatures phase out. Heck yeah. So this can be done defensively or offensively. So defensively against a board wipe, we can just one-sided keep our board phase our board out, or we phase their board out so that now we can go swinging on our turn. It's just such a great, it's just good. I really, really like March of Swirling Mists. Additionally, Disorder in the Court, it says exile X target creatures, then investigate X times. Return the exiled cards to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Again, for each creature or each target we have, it's reducing the casting cost by 1. So Disorder in the Court is going to cost us a blue and a white, and then we can exile any number of target creatures with our commander in play. It's so good. And then They come and play tapped. It's okay. But this can also be, the Disorder in the Court can also save our board or tap them down and get us in for some combat damage. All right, next we have Semester's End. These are almost purely defensive spells. Exile any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of the next end step, return each of them to the battlefield under its owner's control. Each of them enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature and or a loyalty counter if it's a planeswalker. Okay, both of these are really cool. And then Eerie Interlude, it says exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If you have, 3 creatures, Semester's End is one white mana. 2 creatures, Eerie Interlude, 1 white mana. This is super budget. So you get to protect your commander, exile them during, to prevent a board wipe, and then now you just, everybody else is losing their stuff and you get to keep your stuff. It's pretty sweet. Now let's just talk about purely bouncing stuff. This is preferably our stuff. So if we're in a deck that wants to maybe cantrip a lot with a lot of our creatures, or we have a lot of ETB triggers that we want to get going, Leave and Paradoxical Outcome will return any number of target permanents we control. Leave will actually get any permanent. That's pretty cool. And then Paradoxical Outcome will get any non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hand. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way. Really, really powerful cards. Paradoxical Outcome is usually run in some kind of eggs, kind of storm type deck. Chance, we don't really care about chance. All right, but let's talk about board presence. So Launch the Fleet and Call the Coppercoats are just 2 cards that are going to allow us to make a big board presence very quick. Launch the Fleet, it says it costs 1 more to cast for each target beyond the first. So basically 1 white, and then with Hinata in play, it's free for the rest of our targets. Until end of turn, any number of target creatures gain. Whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 white soldier creature token onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So we target all of our creatures for 1 white with Hinata in play. We go swinging, and then we basically double the amount of creatures that are tapped and attacking. Very cool card. Call the Coppercoats. So it's 1 white and 2 generic. It says this spell costs 1 white and 1 generic. More to cast for each target beyond the first. So our first target with Hinata will cost us 2. Our second target 3. Total will cost us 3 for the Call of the Coppercoats, and 4 for the third target. Anyway, choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. Hello, board presence. I'm here. And if we combine that, say we could just absolutely, so we March of the Swirling Mists everybody else's creatures for 1 blue, and then we make enough 1/1s for. So what? Well, okay, here's what we do. So we March of the Swirling Mists, hold priority. Okay, then we call the Coppercoats, and then we target all of them. So we're gonna get X 1/1 white human soldiers. We're gonna phase all of their creatures out. Then we're going to untap and go swinging and probably kill somebody because of how many creatures we have in play. So good. Let's talk about these cards. We do not want to cast our Relia's Furies and all of those kinds of cards with flashback. We don't want to flash them back because then their X would be 0. So we don't want to flash them back, but we do want to return those cards to our hand. Archaeomancer is going to return a card from a graveyard to our hand, a sorcery or instant. Same with Flood of Recollection and Mystic Retrieval. Mystic Retrieval also has the benefit of being able to flash back. So with Hinata in play, Mystic Retrieval is going to cost 3. And then 2 on the flashback. Flood of Recollection is just going to be 2. And then Archaeomancer is going to be 4. It doesn't get reduced in casting cost because it's not targeting as it's being played. Next up, let us get into our top 10. Comet Storm. Okay, this card's a meme in most decks, but in this deck it's disgusting. So for double red and X and multi-kicker of 1. So we can pay the multi-kicker any number of times. Choose any target, and then choose another target for each time this spell was kicked. Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. So the first target, say we spend 5 mana on Comet Storm. 5 mana. Well, that first target for 5 mana is actually going to take 4 points of damage. Yeah, 4 points of damage. Because Hinata is going to reduce the casting cost by 1, so that adds 1 to our damage, basically. If we then have more targets, we've only spent 5 mana. Say we have, I don't know, 6 different targets. 6 of those targets, because of multi-kicker, with Hinata in play, we're just going to get to target each one of those other creatures, and they're all going to take 4 damage, and we've only spent 5 mana. It's ridiculous. Common Storm is cool. Only in this build. Additionally, another one that's really cool is Meteor Blast. This is a one-sided board wipe. It says 4 damage. It deals 4 damage to each of X target creatures and or players. So we pay 3, we target the board, we target them, and it's just going to be ridiculous. Hinata is just going to make this, you know, a 3 mana wreck shop. Oh, I think I have an epiphany that if you play Hinata, you're probably going to get targeted out of the game unless you've got a really good combo. Which reminds me, we got more combos at the end. Keep staying around. Okay, number 8 on our list, Soulfire Eruption. It is triple red and 6. Choose any number of target creatures, planeswalkers, and or players. Basically choose everything you don't control with Hinata in play. For each of them, exile the top card of your library, then Soulfire Eruption deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to that permanent or player. You may play the exile cards until the end of next turn. So you're just going to basically fill your hand with all of those cards. Not fill your hand. Fill exile with all of those cards. Shoot everything at random, basically. And then, yeah, untap Crush Souls. Pretty cool. Number 7. I think this is a really, really fun card at instant speed with Hinata. Okay, so a blue and 1 red and 6 generic. Magnum Opus deals 4 damage, divided as you choose among any number of targets. Okay, go on. Tap 2 target permanents. Okay, so there's a mandatory 3 targets so far. Create a 4/4 blue red elemental creature token, draw 2 cards. Okay, so here's what, so if we've got 3 targets without even splitting up the damage yet from Magnum Opus. So that means just with Hinata in play, this is only going to cost us 5 mana. Then if we start splitting up the Magnus Opus damage, say we do 4 points of damage to 4 different, or 1 point of damage to 4 different creatures, then we reduce the casting cost by 6. And now we get a 4/4 blue-red elemental creature token, and we draw 2 cards. So we end up paying 2 mana to deal 1 point of damage to each of 4 targets, tap 2 permanents down, and then we get a 4/4 blue-red elemental, and we draw 2 cards for 2 mana. And if we don't happen to have the mana it needs to play this spell, we're just gonna discard it to create a treasure token. It's really good. Anyway, so moving on, number 6 on our list, Heliod's Intervention. Holy bananas, Batman. This one is double white and X. Destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments, or target player gains X, whatever. Destroy all of the artifacts and enchantments on the board for double white with Hinata in play. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So basically we tell the board, no more soul rings, no more signets, no more any enchantments. Get rid of your boon of Erebos or whatever. Disgusting. So good. All right. Next up we have Aether Gale. So normally this is just a good card in general, but it's a sorcery. Sorry, it's a sorcery. Double blue and 3 generic. Return 6 non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So for 2 mana, we bounce 6 permanents. So good. But there's one even better. Distorting Wake. For 3 mana and X, return X target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So for 3 mana, we Cyclonic Rift. A 3 mana, 50-cent Cyclonic Rift. Oh, so good. Oh, and then next up we have Curse of the Swine. Double blue and X target creatures. For each of those creatures exiled this way, its controller creates a 2/2 green boar creature token. We don't care. Create your little 2/2 boars. We don't care. Goodbye, all of those big disgusting creatures that were going to wreck our shop. Curse of the Swine is so good in this deck. All right, number 2 on our list. Sublime Epiphany. Okay, this basically reads 2 mana, do all of the things. Okay, so it's a 6-drop instant. It says choose 1 or more counter target spell, counter target activated or triggered ability, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, and target player draws a card. So the only one that we're probably not going to be able to do on this card at instant speed with the rest of them is either counter spell or counter triggered ability. So we're basically going to respond to the counter target triggered ability or activated ability, or we're going to counter the target spell and then do the rest of the things. So we're going to draw the card, create the token, and then bounce a non-land permanent, and then counter spell for 2 mana. It's so good. And then number 1 on our list, drumroll, pow, Spellseeker. Heck yes, for 1 blue and 2 generic. I know she's an expensive card, but she's so sweet. All right, she enters the battlefield. You may search your library for an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 2 or less. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Let's go back, shall we? And remember all of the cool cards that actually only cost 2 or less. Icy Blast, Heliod's Intervention, and Comet Storm. So for 3 mana with Spellseeker, we can go get a tap all your creatures down. We can go get a destroy all artifacts and enchantments for 2, or we can do a Comet Storm, which is a board wipe, one-sided board wipe. All of this stuff is so good. There's no downside here at all. But let's talk combos. We were waiting for the combos, Steven. Okay, so combos. So Spell Swindle. Okay, with Hinata in play, it's only going to cost 4 mana. It says counter target spell, create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. They have tap, sack, add 1 mana of any mana. Okay, cool. Now, Indomitable Creativity. Okay, triple red and X, whatever, because we've got free X, right? Because we're targeting all these different ones. Destroy X target artifacts and or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of his or her library until an artifact or creature card is revealed and exiles that card. Okay, you're going to have to build for this. You're going to have to prepare and build. Kind of going to have to engineer your deck for this, but it's sweet. Okay, reveal those cards, and then that player puts the exiled card onto the battlefield. So reveal, reveal, reveal. Okay, there's an artifact, put it into play. Reveal, 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 reveal. Oh, creature, put it into play. Okay. So what if we happen to have very few creatures or artifacts in our deck? Which, I mean, you could have very few creatures. We're going to have a lot of artifacts, probably. Dockside Extortionist. Oh my goodness. Dockside Extortionist is just, going to help us do this Indomitable Creativity thing too. So we both Spell Swindle and Dockside Extortionist gives plenty of targets. And then if we have Smothering Tithe, again, more treasure tokens to go and hit with Indomitable Creativity. But let's combo off, Steven. Come on, bro. Okay. What if we have Brago and Aurelia in our deck, and we go Indomitable Creativity into Brago and Aurelia? Say we do X, we target X creatures or artifacts. Say we have X treasures and we target X targets. Okay, cool. We're going to reveal cards, get our Brago, get our Aurelia, and then we're going to go and attack for infinite triggers. Whenever Brago deals damage, he exiles target non-land permanent, return it to play. Aurelia has haste. It says whenever she attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. With Brago, Brago is going to exile Aurelia, and she's going to come back into play. That Aurelia now is a new Aurelia that has not attacked before, and that new Aurelia or new permanent can go attacking again, giving you another combat phase, giving you another Brago trigger, giving you another combat. Blah 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 blah. Dead. Opponents are dead. But unfortunately, Brago needs haste somehow and all of that shenanigans. Next up, we have Infinite Turns. Ilharg, the Wraith's War. He's a 5-drop, 6/6 trample. He says whenever he attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield, tapped and attacking, and return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So, it's not actually Infinite Turns, but it is pretty sweet. What it does, it says it takes an extra turn after this one. So, you go swinging with Ilharg, you connect with Madami the Ageless, and then now you're going to get an extra turn. So you untap, take another turn, and then now you have a Madami back in your hand and Ilharg ready to go again. But anyway, oh my goodness. Wow, that was quick. That was efficient, I hope. Anyway, so thank you so much for coming out. Again, there's a 10% discount code in the description for MTG On Command. These are printed, 3D printed products, so just be aware of that. These are not manufactured in a warehouse anywhere. These are basically the equivalent of handcrafted. And so you get some variance in the quality sometimes. Like mine ended up with a little bit of, what do you call it? A little bit of kind of like stringiness here. Oh, where is it? So you can see there's a little bit of notching there, but there's no lack in functionality. You get a little bit of stringiness here on the side, and that's the product of laying down those lines of material. But it is still super sweet. I really, really like them. They're really tough. I've stood on one of these before. You check my video for how terrible my balance is. But I really like them. Guys, dolls, thank you so much for coming out. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time on the Act Here Magic channel. Let's go draft some Neon Dynasty this weekend, shall we? Or sealed. Whatever. Love you guys. Bye.